Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Logbox. Forgive me, I am very sick today. I don't know if it's the flu or whatever, but oh man, I am just out of it. You know, when you're hot and cold at the same time, I have all the heat off in the basement, and I'm still dying from the heat. I'm just sweating my brains out. But that's neither here nor there. So you could probably hear it in my voice. So yesterday I had to go to work. I got asked to do a Saturday overtime, which is time and a half. You know, you don't want to turn down that money. But when I woke up, I was going to call in sick. But after 2 years of no overtime, and then the very first time I get it to call in sick, I would never get. Oh, so yesterday was one of the worst days of my life. I came home. I got home at like 4:30, and I watched. I just sat in my chair. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I just put my weighted blanket. Does anybody have a weighted blanket? Oh my God, weighted blankets are the most amazing things in the world. It's just like you take a nap with a weighted blanket. It's like you're committing to a nap. It is just awesome. I put my weighted blanket on and I watched Deadpool and Wolverine. I hated it. It was barely a movie. It was Member Berries, the movie. It was just like, remember this? And I want to know one thing. Like the whole plot was that Wolverine was like the whatever, the most important being in our time. So when they took him from the other timeline, does that timeline just die? Like, was Wolverine not important in that timeline? And I don't know. It was barely a movie. It was Member Berries. Like it was just like coincidence drove the plot. It was just so terrible. But it was cool to see Elektra and Blade and all those guys. And I just didn't like what they did to Johnny Storm. You know, I'm a big Fantastic Four fan. But anyway, that's besides the point. So let's check out S. Harper, 37 hours. Ouch. See you then. So I hope S. Harper showed up. Here's the link to my comic from my comic Heroic Tales. It's in demand. You can still get it. I got a bunch of them over here on my spinner rack. And if you like this comic that I'm showcasing today, Horace H. Hoover, you could pick it up at Horace. Oh, is this okay? It is the right. I thought I put the wrong thing. It's horsehoover.com. You could go there. And then we got Marcus. How you doing, Marcus? Yeah, I'm gonna be coughing and being miserable. So anyway, let's take a look at this comic. So this is number 3 of 5. I asked Fabrizio which issue would he like me to showcase, and he picked 3. I just love this cover. This, I know that's like hair and everything like that, but I just picture like a Cthulhu type monster. And I love the design of this. Is Horace H. Hoover, for those of you who don't know. He's an occult investigator set in like the 20s New York, which I just love that time period. There's so much going on at that time, like as far as like what's her name, Madame Blavatsky, all that stuff, like the spiritualism and everything. It's just a cool time to set a comic in. And then he has what looks like a vacuum cleaner on his head, and were there even vacuum cleaners back then? So there's got to be more to this story, and I'm dying to ask Fabrizio, but at the same time, I want to learn it as we learn it. So, New York City's great space-time occult detective vacuum, an occult pulp tale of mystery and adventure. So, I mean, geez, what else do you want? So this, to me, this comic is like the only comic I could compare it to, if you've never read it, is and it's not really a fair comparison, but Hellboy, it's just like a bizarre character going on an occult adventures. So I think that's really the only way to describe. So now, story art and ha-has by Fabrizio Aiello, and I just love his graphic design. For those of you who bought Heroic Tales, you might recognize Fabrizio's artwork. He did the the fruit pie ad in my comic, and that was Horace H. Hoover, and that was also Wolf and Betsy. But I just love this classic, little origin up here. It's just so cool. While investigating the mystery of the Smoke Man, our hero has kidnapped, and forgive me, I'm so sick with the fever that even reading, like, hurts my eyes, and brought far underground to the lair of the book bug. And the name Al Avro, and his only clue, Horace must race to find his way back to the surface to save Mr. Sinclair, or will he be trapped forever? So it's a good little recap, just like comics used to do. You know, this is all you need to know. Like, to me, I would never just pick up issue number 3 and read it. I'm a crazy person, but I could see like somebody else like stumbling across number 3. That'll bring you up to speed. And I love this. So this is the book bug, and Horace is trapped. Like, it's all books. Oh, I wanted to do issue number 2 because I wanted to show the library, but Fabrizio asked me to do number 3. So we got Horace trapped over here by pages. The book bug is wearing armor made out of books. Another this is gonna be rough. Another thing that I need to point out is the lettering is absolutely perfect. I'm gonna sound pretentious or I guess pretentious is the best word, but like, now that I made a comic, I'm paying attention to all the little details. Like, I just read a comic. I read 2 comics this morning. I read this by Bill Willingham, Bobby Diaz, and Bill Williams. It was excellent, but like, it's like I'm paying attention to the writing. I'm paying attention to the lettering. I'm paying attention to the storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, I made a comic now. I've crossed over. Like, I'll never be the same. Like, I'm looking at the technical details of a comic, and I hate to say this, but I also read this morning, and I just didn't like it. It wasn't stories. It was events. It was 10 events. There's a difference between a story and an event. It was just like guys get into a bar fight and then the bar fight's over. Two-fisted manly tales. That they weren't stories. They were just events. I want to read a story. I don't want to read an event. Oh, we got Zach 10 over here. Hope you're having a blessed Sunday. I'm probably ordering number 3 in a bit later. Cool. Hey, Pete, the first page is like a great homage to classic Marvel comics. Yes. Yeah. I think I could speak for Fabrizio and say that he is a big fan of like classic, like 70s, 80s Marvel comics. Like, I think he's like a big John Romita, Sal Buscema, a John Buscema fan. So there's definitely going to be some oh, just my brain's in a fog today. There's definitely going to be some like homages to that, or influences is the word I was thinking of. So I just love this. For Fabrizio, he hasn't done it in a couple of weeks, but on Sundays around 3:00 on YouTube, he does like a little drawing, and like he'll ink or draw. And I'm just amazed because he'll just spend like a day drawing like all the inking, like he'll draw out these lines in all the books and then ink them. I don't know, what do they call that? Drawatism? Goofing on autism. Like, some of these guys, it's just amazing. That was my thing. I always wanted to draw, but I didn't have the patience to like fill in all the details. And another thing I wanted to point out. Fabrizio purposely uses a small color palette. And I love that. This looks as close to old school coloring. I mean, of course, he's computer coloring, but this looks like a Glynis Oliver or Tatiana Wood. Just it looks, because it's limited. Like, look at this panel right here. We got this black over here, and then this, like, what is that, grayish purple? That is just so old school. Over here we have really the illusion of a lot of colors, but not really a lot of colors. Just enough to differentiate what you're looking at. We got the color in the caption box. We got this blue over here, this purple, and then like 3 colors to differentiate the different books. Now, I at the risk of sounding drama guy, but like when I look at like Kyle Ritter doing Cyberfrog, every every color is just vividly colored, and it at first it's cool, but it kind of creates like a I'm sorry guys, it kind of creates like a overwhelmingness. Like it doesn't, like, this is 3D. We got this over here. We got, this is the, what do they call that? The foreground. This is the midground. It's definitely the background. But when everything is meticulously colored, I, I, I I don't want to get up and look for to show what I'm talking about. Everything kind of just becomes flat, and I think Fabrizio does a really wonderful job of less is more. You know, and he does the classic comic book. Each, like, there's a different main color in each square to differentiate the panels. I hate that. I hate that when you look at a page, and that's why in Marvel Comics it would be daylight, and then the sky would be blue, and then over here you'd be facing a building, so you didn't see the sky, and then obviously the sky would be yellow. Why? The sky's not yellow, but it was just to break up the color. But uh, Zach Dan says events could, yeah, for now on, I'll talk about the comic going forward, and then I'll address the comments like I normally do. I'm just out of it today, guys. Events can be story beats, but stories have an arc. Good way to put it. Good way to put it. Events can have story beats, but stories have an arc. Yeah, the Two-Fisted Manly Tales. It was just like, it was almost like a news. Every story was just like a news report. This coloring wouldn't work for Cyberfog. Absolutely. Yeah. It works. It works for this because Fabrizio kind of has like an old school art style. An old school art style. So what do we got over here? We got oh, okay. All right, one more just came in. I really like the colors, the specific variations of colors, but my brain dislike it when the colors blend. Absolutely. That's a good way to describe it. Sometimes the colors just become like, the only way to describe it is Amadeus, when the emperor is just like, too many notes, too many notes. There's only so many notes that your ear can hear, and then Amadeus says, well, which notes would you like me to remove? Sometimes I think, like, it's just too many color. It becomes like stained glass. And when you look at like a stained glass, if you ever go to church, you look at the stained glass, it's all two-dimensional. Every color is bright, every color is vivid, every color stands out. It's kind of cool looking for stained glass, but it doesn't work for comic. And that, when I look at Star Blades and Cyberfrog, it's almost like looking at a stained glass. It really should be toned down, if you ask me. Hey, Torchbearer Studios, how you doing? It seems like the more I talk, it seems like I'm getting everything out, of my system. All right, let's go to the next page. Oh, God, I'm not like having problems focusing. So, what having here is the origin of the book bug. Smaller panels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 panels on one page. Wow, you don't see that too often. What do you guys think? Do you guys like it when there's a lot of panels on a page? I've been struggling with that. Little secret. I default to 5 panels on a page when I write my scripts, and then go up or down as needed. Like, I just feel like 5 is good, because you could put, if you do 4, you're gonna, it just seems like it's gonna be 4 equal panels and it's bored. But if you do 5, you could do a lot with 5. You can have one rectangular, but 12 panels, geez, that's a lot. Success. My obsession, final product. I can't even read. I'm sorry. I was exiled, removed from the society. That was all I had known, thrown away and left behind, never to forget my error in questioning the rules. I watched as my family, my friends, and my I watched as my people, my friends and family left this planet, I watched my home leave. I can't even read, guys. This place became my home. I know my obsession, my hubris, my friend. Book by book. So what did he do? As these books like fell above him is a library, and every once in a while these books fall, and he just started building a home and a throne and a armor. I mean, I've always wanted a library in my house. Like if you go upstairs, I got a small guest room with a futon in it, but it's all bookshelves and then boxes. Me and my wife just been throwing boxes. But like I've always wanted a library. Like if I hit the lottery, you better believe I want to have one of those rooms with just shelves from top to bottom with the ladder that rolls, and then I want to pull one of the books out and the shelves move, and behind that will be like, I don't know, my comic book room or something like that. That's just so cool. Fabrizio has a love of books, just like I have a love of books. Uh, but my eyes aren't focusing right now. So, what would you people think of the murder that you've perpetrated? All in a quest to rejoin them. You misunderstand why. I do like Fabrizio has a really good forgive me for being very, very low energy today, but Fabrizio has a very unique writing style. And every character has their own voice. And I little spoiler alert. Next issue in Heroic Tales, the patriarch gets hit with like a hallucinogenic gas, and he hallucinates and he sees a couple of other characters. He sees Wolf and Betsy, and it was I had fun writing 2 panels of Horace H. Hoover, and then I gave the dialogue to Fabrizio. You know, he corrected a few things, but it's just fun to write like him. Fun. It's fun to listen to him talk. And one of the things I like about Horace is he's genuinely positive. He's generally wants to help. He's generally curious, and he's just generally good. I like all of those things, and he assumes the best in everybody else. I just find him to be like refreshing in this time of like all the heroes are nasty and bad. You know, he's I I don't know if Fabrizio's watching it, but if Fabrizio, if you're watching, would it be fair to say he's like a little naive? Is that fair to say that in that he's a, you know, assumes the best in people? Like I said, that kind of could be his weakness, you know, kind of like Superman. People like, oh, he assumes the best. Oh, Fabrizio Aiello is here. Okay. Yep. He agrees. Okay. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Not feeling good. And the author is in the chat. Pressure's on. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 panels. Oh, somebody said something about panels, and I skipped it. Torchbearer. Torchbearer has his own comic. He's got the thug. I don't know when the thug will be out, but he's working on it. Number of panels all depends on the plot and the actions being depicted. Losing a community is rough, which is why the rules of community are usually important. Yep. HoraceHoover.com. And everybody saying hello to each other. So he's fallen down this ravine. And again, limited color palette. All of, like, again, over here, you got this in the foreground. You got like a grayish brown in the background. Again, I love his lettering. I love the lettering. No, I must not find it. I can't read. I can't read. My eyes are just like straining and hurting today. But again, he's got this big vacuum cleaner. He's got this hose that comes out and then goes here. And he has packets of, like, I assume it's like occult trinkets to fight whatever nasty. But that's I can't believe I forgot to bring this up. This is one of the things I really like about Horace H. Hoover is it's the occult, but it's not just werewolves and vampires and Frankenstein monsters. These are all unique creatures. Uh, there was like a smoke monster in issue 2. There was like a Cthulhu horror creature in issue 3, in issue 2. Smoke guy at issue 1. I'm sorry. We got this book bug, and then something else is coming up. We have like a. Would it be fair to say like a Clive Barker type creatures? It's completely unique. Like, oh, we got a bunch of people. Wow, a bunch of people popping in. We Zactan. It's really weird. Tension trying to assume the best of people who understand how bad they could be. Yes, I do like that. I like my good guys to be good. We got Zaid Studios. Hey, how you doing? I just ordered your book. I thought I ordered it already. I ordered it on Friday. Can't wait. Can't wait. Project Analysis. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Paul? How's everything? How's everything? Send Marcus your links. We'll throw your links in the chat. Word up, chat. Yeah. How's everybody? How's everybody doing? I'm feeling completely horrible, and I'm stumbling through Sunday comics just because I got a fever. Oh, this is gross, but I'll tell it. I'll tell it. This is exactly what Fabrizio wants to hear when I'm talking about his comic. But yesterday we unloaded a truck. We got 36 reels of wire off a truck, and then we had to put them. It's called a magnet. It lifts and puts them. So I was the guy who's in charge of getting it out of the truck. So I'm in the truck. We're rolling it, everything like that, inventorying it, bring it up to the second floor. That took like a couple of hours. Getting 36 huge reels. We're talking like 4,000 pounds reels of wire. We put them up on the second floor. So then when we got on the second floor, we got pallet jacks, so we had to move them, all the way across the building. That took the rest of the day. So I'm pulling on the pallet jack, and all of a sudden I'm like, excuse me. My foreman's standing there, and I go, gotta hit the bathroom. He's like, okay. I just upchucked. It's just a plastic porta potty. I came out, and everybody's looking at me like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm sick as a dog. My foreman was just like, go sit in the porta potty for a little while. We only got an hour left in the day. I was not feeling good. It was just the worst. I missed the train in the morning, and then I missed the train on the way back. It just was the worst day. Project Analysis. There you go. If you like Image comics, but actually written well with an actual story, with plot, story beats, characters that evolve and change, and like I said, a story. I've been notoriously mean to early Image comics, but Paul, I don't think would get upset for me comparing him to Image Comics. Image Comics done right. At Zaid Studios, his artwork is outstanding. Outstanding. All right, let's get back to the comic. So now look at this thing. Again, it's totally unique creatures. Like, you don't know what to expect. Now, in Heroic Tales, I would like to do werewolves and vampire stories if it lasts long enough. But I'd like to do my own spin on it. But this is Fabrizio just making up his own bestiary. Is that the word? Look at this thing. By Am Hex Bark. How could such a beast be so silent, not even make a sound? We have to postpone our palaver regarding a rapid decline of our mental acuity. I just love the way he talks. The speed is extraordinary. Now, if that was a Marvel comic, they would say, how could something so big move so fast? That was like in every comic. How does one fight such a beast? May the bones of those who fell before provide the vector to our liberation. I just love that. Fabrizio must have such a fun time writing this guy's dialogue. And then look at this. Splat. Did I pronounce that right? Splagach. And again, he's in some sort of like pocket dimension, the other worlds. You could see this like green. It's like an underworld pocket dimension. You know, it's and that's just one of my it in issue two. Issue two is my favorite. In issue two, Horace goes to a library and he talks to the librarians, you know, and they're looking at him like he's a nut job. You know, he's walking around with this vacuum cleaner on his head, and he's like, "Can I have the key to whatever room 406?" And they're like, "Sure." And the new librarian goes, That's just like a storage closet." And she's like, "He's nice. He doesn't bother anybody. He goes in there. He comes out a couple of hours later. Doesn't cause any problems. He's a nice gentleman. He's polite. Just give him the key." You know, and I love it. When he opens up the door, it's a hidden library. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if he does a spell or if it only works for him. Like there's a lot of mysteries. I just love that. But I just love that the librarian's like, he's a nice, odd, eccentric gentleman. Just humor him, you know, because again, he's a likable, eccentric guy. You know, I do like that. I think it's something that we should have more of in our comic characters. You know, you know, and it's cool to have the bad boy characters. Don't get me wrong, but like it seems like every character is like nasty and is just troubled and ready to fight and edgy. You know, I think I'm just a little on edge because I just did not like that Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I just thought it was really bad. So here we got look at this thing. Just this posture butt over here. And again, how do we fight? Because it is time to employ the military tactics of the great Roman general Fabian Maximus. I don't know what that means. It means run. That hurt? Quickly. Take the narrow passage. It may encumber the giant's gate. Like he just unnecessarily eloquent. And I love that. It must be so much fun to write this dialogue. The cave entrance may provide some cover. If we are fortunate, we will have gone unnoticed into the vast network of caravans. Curious. And I love this too. He's not just a badass. Like he just doesn't dispatch this thing. He stabs it, realizes he's outclassed. Time to run. You know, how many times in comic books you see like the little guy just beat this giant creature? Look at these faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why I'm into counting the panels, but I love the varying variations on the panels. Now I would be curious to ask, you know, we got a couple of comic book creators over here. We got Paul, we got Zaid, we got Fabrizio. Hey, we got creative personnel working on his own comic too. You know, how do you decide how many panels in a comic? Like I said, maybe this isn't the best thing to admit, but when I have a blank page, I'm just like, there's going to be 5 panels. And then as I write, I'll change that as necessary. You know what I mean? And like with Will Eisner, I do, because before I started writing scripts, I figured I'd get the blueprints, the Will Eisner book, and it was just like I try to have like a word balloon, and then like a reaction, and then maybe a third reaction. So like Fabrizio's doing it exactly the way I would do it. You know, he's saying something, the other character's responding, and then that. If I needed another one, that would indicate another panel. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Where am I on the thanks, dude. That's wicked. Any compliment is a good compliment. Yeah. That is terrorizing. So cool. Is it Zach? It would be weird if everyone talked like that, but it works as a character. Yes. Everybody else. So, like I said, it's set in the pulp days, like, you know, the Shadow and Dr. Savage, Man of Bronze. They were set in the 20s, and like those characters, that seems to be a trope that they don't use too much anymore. That the great pulp characters always had like operatives that worked with them. The Shadow had Margot Kane, Margot Lane. Margot Lane was more than just his lover. She was like one of his operatives. And then he had like a guy that drove taxis and a guy that repaired radios. Doc Savage has like a litany of experts that work on everything with him. And it's Doc Savage is a Mary Sue. If your character's a Mary Sue and you know it's a Mary Sue, it could work. Like people get mad when I say, but Captain Kirk is kind of a Mary Sue. Superman is kind of a Mary Sue. Batman has become a Mary Sue. But if you play along with that trope and work with it, I don't think it's bad. The problem is it's when you don't realize it's a Mary Sue, like Rey from Star Wars. But anyway, why am I talking about that? Horace H. Hoover, although you don't see him in this particular issue, he has operatives. He has Slurp, who's like an alien. He has Max, my favorite, who's just like a hardworking, regular blue collar guy. And they all, Slurp talks in like a cipher that I didn't know that, but you could translate it. Now I gotta go back and reread it and translate it. And Max talks like a Brooklyn blue collar guy. So everybody has an individual way of speaking. And of course, Horace has the most individual way of speaking. I don't know if you can hear the wheezing from my chest. So, oh, cool. I didn't realize this. Oh, my computer just updated. So he's in the library. So this is the big library. Over here, you can see this is like the centerpiece of the library. I just love this library. I as a kid, it was like when you first learned about Narnia, when you opened up the wardrobe and there was like a whole world in there. That's like such like a little kid wish fulfillment thing. And I love this, that you opened up this door and there was a whole like hidden world behind it. It's just so cool. And despite I couldn't help but feel some exhilaration that it was all a deal. So now we're learning his story about reading books that he shouldn't be reading. He's basically giving a death side. I don't want to read the whole comic to you. First off, I can't. My eyes are killing me. But he's given it like a death side confession to Horace. He goes, and I love this. Horace gets, as I was talking about, Horace is a little naive. He thinks the best in people. So this is where it bites him in the butt. I don't want to spoil it, but he confesses to some horrible stuff, and Horace says to him, You are no man. You left your family to an indescribable fate. I have confronted 1,000 creatures from 1,000 worlds, and yet you sit here as the most abhorrent of all of them. How could you? So you see, even the good-natured assumes the best. He encountered something that even got him a little perturbed. And this guy punches him in the vacuum cleaner, hurts his hand, ties him up. And then what do we got here? We got an advertisement, horror at Malice Manor. I love these fake ads, hollowed art games. I just love this. If you got the Alterna, so yeah, Horace H. Hoover originally came out by Alterna Comics. I forget if it was 3 issues that came out by Alterna, but he had to reduce a couple of pages to put it in Alterna because Alterna has ads. That's how one of the ways that they keep the costs down is that they put out ads. So now if you buy this edition, I mean, besides this such good quality paper and binding, you'll get these ads, mock ads. They're real ads for fake stuff. So this is a Horace H. Hoover board game, Malice Manor, which I would play. I just realized I've been ignoring the chat. Torchbearer Studio says, I treat panels like boxes designed to contain importance. If there's a lot of importance to a panel, I make it a big box. If something is not, yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, I agree. If it's important, it gets a bigger panel. Usually, though, the way I only made one comic book, so consider the source. But I send my scripts to Renzo, and then I trust him. He makes, like this page has 7 panels, and he'll make it. This one's bigger, this one's smaller, and very rarely, I don't think I've ever asked him to change the panel layouts. I asked him to remove one thing because I thought it was distracting. There was like a billboard touching the patriarch's head, and it just made it look weird. But other than that, I never really changed. But like, I did ask Ron to do a 2-page spread, so that was pretty cool because I just thought it would be cool in the suit. There's a 2-page spread because I just the whole town and everything like that with the credits and everything. I kind of wanted to do like a Will Eisner, incorporate the credits into the page itself. Excuse me. Yeah, but yeah, if something's important, it's big. If something's like that, there's I always think of this panel. I don't know why, but it was Daredevil. It was a Daredevil comic. I think it was a Gene Colan Daredevil comic, and Daredevil was in his law office talking to the client, and then he just gets up, and then there's just a small little panel inserted into the panel of just him holding the doorknob, just to create the flow, a seamless flow of getting up, opening the door, letting the client out, you know. And I always thought about that. Like, did the artist just draw that? Like, did the editor say, like, we need something over here? Because it was just like a panel and then a little panel, but it just made it seamlessly flow. Like in your mind, the animation of Matt Murdock getting up, walking across the room, opening the door, letting out the client. Just that little insert just made it so. Yeah, and it was small. It wasn't important opening up the door, but it was a small little detail that I thought was like a, not necessary, but it just made it ease. It just eased, like, when I say like the animation of a comic book, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like it created like the story flow. And that's one of my big things is when a story just like something interrupts the story flow. It drives me nuts. And I'm seeing more and more and more of it, to the point like just like going crazy. I also read this morning. Uh, uh, I woke up at 6 because I went to bed early. I read this. I like the art, but it just seemed like exposition the comic, you know, exposition the comic. The it opens up to, there's a murder and they're going over the body, and one of the deputies goes, maybe the Pale Rider did it, and the forensic scientist goes, Pale Rider. And then it's the next 3 pages is the history of the Pale Rider. It's like, nobody talks like that. It just took me right out of the comic. You know what I mean? There should have been a better way to introduce, which is probably going to be the main bad guy of that comic, which, why am I talking about that? Oh, James Griffin is my buddy. Good morning. Gave out variant covers to Heroic Tales for Christmas. Cool. A couple of guys at work were like, why didn't you sell me a comic? I'm like, I didn't know you wanted them. I also see panels like music. I want a rhythm to the story. Similar sized panels make for a smooth read. That's interesting. That's a really interesting comment. I got to think about that before I respond to that. That is a really interesting comment. I don't know if I agree or disagree. It's sometimes I see a comment that just throws me for a loop. I was going to buy this, but the website says delivery is not available. What's that? Fabrizio. Oh, it. I see. Oh, I I don't know. Oh, see, that is obviously very sorry about are you outside the US? I'll check it out. Sorry to hear that. Oh, I'm in Minnesota. You okay? Good to see that Fabrizio is responding. I was just looking at it, and it looked to me that everything was online. I want refresh, clear your cookies. I don't know. The Pale Rider, the fourth death, Hades within it, not to be confused with the right. Yeah, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. But I want to get back to this. So anyway, look at this. Look at this page over here. We got this horrific. The only way to describe it is like oh, I wonder how much strength you need to uppercut a person into outer space and the effect it would have on Earth's weather. There you go. There's something to think about. The Hulk punching Superman into space. But look at the. I know Fabrizio is a H.P. Lovecraft fan. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, and these remind me of the Moon Beasts. And I just loved like this strange anatomy, these eyes that aren't symmetric. It's just so ugly looking. You know, poor Horace. He just looks outmatched over here. What does this say? Growl. Growl. These caves are replete with dangerous foes. While I have found most foes are susceptible to a solid right hook in the nose. Its prehensile tail has another further reach than my pugilist stance. I must discover its vulnerability before its next attack. I just love like, are you going to really talk like this while a monster is coming after you? Well, I wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. But Horace H. Hoover, yes. Evasion appears improbable with its surplus of ocular sensors. This may be my last chance. I am able to position myself and lull it into a false sense of security. I just love reading his dialogue. I love his dialogue. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels. Oh, as I was saying about Renzo, I distracted myself. I gave him a page, and I think there was 7 panels on the page, and he turned it into 12 panels. If you see that page, if you have Heroic Tales, that when he's going after the meteor, he made those little close-ups of his eyes. I didn't tell him to do that. He did that, and I thought it was just great. It just worked really well. So yeah, you know, Fabrizio does this all himself. He's the writer, he's the artist, he's the colorist, he's the letterer, he's the inker, the publisher. You know, he probably puts it in a box and mails it to you too. So you know, this, you know, he has it, but you know, I can't draw to save my life. So I write a script, I send it to Renzo, or I send it to Oscar, and then they, you know, put their, oh, as I knock into this, they put their views into it. You know, it's pretty collaborative. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see like, oh, I didn't think of that, but that works better. You know, because he's more visual while I'm more words. So look at this. He's smashing its eyes, using his helmet to smash its eyes. Horace, are you there for the moment? What was that scream? I was set upon by a creature, but was only able to injure it only temporarily to allow our escape. It's just funny because this is like a pet peeve of mine. My friend Jimmy over here, uh, my friend Jimmy and I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons and Villains of Vigilantes since we were wee little ones, and like one day we were just like, why would the monsters fight to the death? You know what I mean? Like a tiger attacks you. It's Dungeons and Dragons or whatever like that, and you walk it through the jungle, and a lion or a bear, you know, attacks you, and you pull out your sword, and you fight the bear. Why the bear is not just gonna square off with you until one of the other is dead. Like at some point, the bear is gonna be like, "This ain't worth it," and leave. You know, that's the way the reality works. You know what I mean? Like even a shark, you're gonna hurt the shark. The shark's gonna leave. It's not gonna fight you until it's dead. You know, that's like there's like moments in role playing games that and story that like you, you become like a little bit wiser. Like, okay, yeah, most creatures don't fight. Like you get into a bar fight, you're not just going to punch each other until one of you dies. You know what I mean? Most likely. So he injures this creature and sends it off. Like this creature's like, I'll get an easier meal someplace else. So if that's what it was even after. I love this panel. I just love the design of the character. Like even though this is the 20s, he dresses eccentric, you know? So what is that? Observe for yourself for what it is. This compass is my own design. It will give us the direction for our escape. So what is this? It's like all taped together. It's making all clanging, banging, weird noises. And then we got Loquat coming back again. I gotta say, there's something about Loquat's eyes that are just unsettling. Now we got Fabrizio watching. Is that on purpose? But like the fact that like his lower features are covered in the hair forces you to focus on the eyes. So it's a lot of acting in the eyes. You know, I bet you Fabrizio spends a lot of time erasing and redrawing the eyes on this character. But look at that. Look at that. Just when I bested that other infernal beast, I will find a way to send you back to the caves from whence you came. Now release us or feel the wrath of books and bones. Again, I just love the way he talks. What did he say? Your perusal of my physiognomy, I can't even say this word, physiognomy, will have no bearing on the resolution of our conflict. Now let us conclude our dynamical relationship once and for all. I should have opened the door. So no, the man was brought to justice for his moral and legal infractions. You have deprived the victims of the recompense and society's. So again, I stopped myself. You have deprived the victims of their recompense, and society's debt will never be paid. It was not Alexis de Tocqueville that said, finally, with the modicum of erudication that I may engage what you speak, yet this entire time you've not uttered a single. I would rather wait until I found one that converse with the. So this is Loquat for loquacious. You know, he talks similarly to Horace H. Hoover, but I just love this. This guy, and again, I skipped over what he did because I want you to read it. I'm not here to like spoil everything, but he's a crummy guy. Let's just say that he's a crummy guy. And Horace still wants to save him. He still wants to do the right thing, bring him back to normal world and have him pay for his crimes, you know, so that his victims will have closure or whatever that this psychological term is, which I do like, you know, I like Batman better than the Punisher because you know, for all of Batman's faults these days, Batman still believes in the system and goodness at doing the right thing, whereas the Punisher is kind of lazy, you know, just take it all out. Now, Punisher's cool, you know, I like the Punisher too, you know, but like I like the Superman, the good guy, you know, the hope, the light, the virtue over like really the Punisher is just lazy and quick, you know. He's not a hero. He's not heroic the way Batman or even Superman is. You know, just look at this again when I'm talking about the eyes. Just look how expressive they are. And I think that's because of the hair. I just how gross would that be to actually have hair coming out of your nose right here? Excuse me. Now, letters from the pneumatic. And this is really cool. This was left out of the alternate issues. But if you get these versions, the gloomy wood, There's stories being told through the letter pages. I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So people are writing and other people are writing back, and there's like a whole drama unfolding in the letters pages. I just think that is just so cool. This is one of the pieces that Fabrizio was working on one of his Sunday inking chats. I remember seeing him draw that. Again, here is like a Lovecraft. This almost looks like an elder thing. This looks like a vampire creature. And then what have we got here? Okay, here's Max. It's funny because Max just mentioned that he had a wife and kids, and I instantly got nervous for him. You know, I'm like, oh no, he's a regular guy. You know, so many people in so many characters in comics don't have families. You know, like Peter Parker's got Aunt May, but like Batman's an orphan. You know, I'm trying to, like, the Punisher's got nobody. You know, Wolverine's got no family. You know what I mean? But when Max said he had a, a wife and kids, I was like, oh no, he's a regular guy. You know, I don't want him to get I don't want him to get hurt. Torchbearer. I've been fighting bears and sharks all wrong. Yeah, you don't have to fight them to the death. You don't have to fight them to the death. You just it's all because the autoimmune response from the panthetic universe of the tabletop role trying to fight off all the. I see that Horace H. Hoover has infected your loquacious abilities. I see where the design language for heroic tales came from. To be fair, the Punisher is just a guy, a really tactical guy, but it's difficult to go against the gang. Yes. Well, he can't arrest them. He doesn't have any authority to arrest. You know what I mean? Like, let's be realistic. How many times is there a citizen's arrest in real life? You know, does anybody know anybody who citizens arrested anybody? Like, you know, but oops, sorry about that. The Punisher, like Superman, I always thought Batman, Fantastic Four were always like children's power fantasies. I always think like the Punisher is an adult power fantasy. You know, like wouldn't you just like there's a crack house in your neighborhood, just like I just want to go shoot them up, you know, take care of business. I think I was about to say something, then I realized I can't back it up. But what I was going to say was I don't see a lot of children Punisher fans, but like, are there Punisher fans that are kids? I see the Punisher as like more like adults like the Punisher, kids like Spider-Man, you know. But anyway, back to Horace H. Hoover. There's no other comic out that's like it. The things that I'm nitpicky about, and I'm just getting more and more nitpickier, is storytelling. Are you confused? Does the panel flow from one panel to the next? I saw Project Analysis in the chat. Project Analysis, Paul. He's got a campaign live right now, I think, but he does it. His stories flow. I'd never felt confused. It's not disjointed. He does a really good job. I'm really impressed. Good job, buddy. I just read Phenomenova. It flowed. At no point was I confused or disjointed. My own comic, Heroic Tales, if I got one bad review, and even the person who reviewed it said the storytelling was good. That I wasn't confused. I got everything. Just that person had an expectation, and then I didn't meet that expectation that person met. So therefore, I got a bad review. But I was happy because she said she wasn't confused, and the story made sense, and at no point was she disjointed. Same with Horace H. Hoover. Same with Wolf and Batsy. These guys, Fabrizio and Brian and Vaughn, they know how to make a comic. Each comic panel flows into the next one. You're never confused. I hate to say it, but this comic. I love Swamp Thing. I was like, if you take out the words, you couldn't follow along with the story. And I know I'm gonna catch hell for saying this, but this was just a bunch of disjointed stories. Like, I don't know, they didn't have a payoff. There wasn't an arc. Who said that? But so I'm a complete nitpicker when it comes to comics, and I have no nitpicks about this comic. It's fun. It's bizarre. Like I often say to Fabrizio, like, who's your target audience? Me. You know, it's a cult investigating Lovecraft inspired crazy vacuum cleaner character who's basically a good person, you know, who thinks the best in everybody, set in the 20s in New York. It's like, man, you couldn't have made a comic character for me better than what he did. So yeah, so I guess I'm biased, you know. And also Fabrizio is always on my channel. I enjoy talking with him. But you know, $8. I might as well do this. I might as well do this. And again, this is not my best video. Talking with a fever is not the easiest thing to do. But here is his website. So, you know, Horace H. Hoover, the heroes. Oh, here's Slurp. Like I said, he looks like a vampire from space. Max, New York City mate. Max is H's right-hand man and pragmatic counselor when needed. Yeah, he's more grounded in reality. As a former bookie, Max knows all the wrong people in the right areas of the city. Short, okay, very short. He can hold his own against any supernatural horror. Max provides the foundation of the team. Like I said, Max is my favorite. I mean, I like them all, but Max is my favorite. So here's the team. Oh, all right. I got the joke. But here's the store. As far as I know, these are all available. 1, 2, and 3. You could get a resin printed. Fabrizio does his own 3D sculpting, a sketch card. You could get them digitally. $2. $2 digitally. Oh, this is out of stock. The resin model. Yeah, those are tough. And you could get the bundle, issues 1 to 3 bundle for $22. So that's 60. Yeah, 20. Save a couple bucks. There you go. Original art. Oh, cool. I never checked this out before. Models. Cool. So anyway, where I'm just in a fog, guys. To be fair. Oh, I already read that. Okay, Zach 10. This was a good read. I like the retro science fiction feel to it. Yes. I was talking with Matt Bear on his channel that just retro science fiction, retro futurism or whatever, like what from the 50s when they think about the future. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Fabrice, thank you, John, featuring this book someday. HHH and Horror Tales need to be on a comic shelf to get. Yeah, wouldn't that be the coolest? Wouldn't that be the coolest? You know, I want to get like a couple of issues out and then maybe, you know, try to do something through a distributor, get my comic in a shelf. But you know, I can't do it right now until I get the gears working, right? Get a backlog. Yep, Fabrizio is a nice guy. HoraceHoover.com. See here, of all that is up. I think you may have selected the digital version. That's the only thing I could see. There are 2 icons for issue 3. If not, email me and I'll get it sorted out. I'll double check my order. Cool. And Bat Sauce. Beep beep. How you doing, Bat Sauce? So anything else you want to talk about, Fabrizio? Any news? How long before issue 4? Anything you want to talk about? It's a lot of pressure having the creator in the chat when I do these. But as always, this is always my favorite thing to do on my channel. The Sunday comics, I just sit down here. But I normally wake up at 8, get my cup of coffee, get the blood flowing so that I'm not a complete locks when I start talking. But I got up at 6 today, and because I'm sick, time was weird. I made some coffee, and I didn't want to wake up my wife. And I'm going right back to bed after this. I'm just going to spend it. It's a rainy, dreary, crummy day in New York, and I don't want to. When you work overtime on a Saturday, you don't want to take that Monday off because that just like ruins the whole reason you went to work on Saturday. It's for extra money, right? You want the 40 hours plus the 8 hours overtime. I don't want the 32 hours. So I'm just gonna lay in bed. My wife said when we're done with this, she's gonna make hash browns and eggs, toast, my favorite. And then I'm just gonna be a disgusting slob. So when you guys are sick, that's the stereotype, right? That men are big babies. When I'm sick, I try to stay away from my wife. I don't want to bother anybody. She's upstairs. I'm down here. Like I just like leave me stewing in my own juices. My card shows. Oh, you get the resin figure too. Cool, Seer. Wow. You could submit the comics to Diamond, but they take a lot of the cut. Yeah. Like I said, once I have like 6 comics or so I can do it monthly for 6 months. Right now I'm just going to focus on crowdfunding, do this, and then later on. Okay, I love it. They're working out. What would you name a trio? Let me get my mouth. The ability to work. What would you name a trio of heroes who each have one of the following powers: heat, ice, and super speed? I went with the red, hot, chili, and pepper. Heat, ice, and super speed. Let me think about that. One guy has heat powers, one guy has ice powers, and one guy has super. Like, you want their name to have to do with their powers, or just like any name, like the Avengers or Defenders or the Punchers? The red, hot, chili, and pepper. So, wow. Again, this is like my favorite thing to do. I wake up, have some coffee, talk about comics with people. I remember doing this when it was like 3 people watching. So this is pretty cool. Next week, I'm going to do an issue of Wolf and Batsy, and Brian thinks it's funny. He asked me to pick one issue that because I asked Fabrizio, what issue would you like me to showcase, and he picked this one. And Brian said, pick the one that you thought was mean, because my favorite issue is of Wolf and Batsy is the Gorilla Suit Maniac, but there's one issue after that during the fall of House of Zagzag that is just Wolf and Batsy are mean. Like, you forget that they're monsters, and in this issue, like, they're monsters. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the meanest issue of Wolf and Batsy for next week. Normally now I talk about what I'm doing for the week. So I'm going to check out my calendar on my phone. What is today? I have absolutely nothing. So I have nothing scheduled for this week, which is fine. I'm not feeling too good anyway. I might do like what you're reading and things like that. But I don't have any guests lined up. I don't have any conversations lined up. I think Friday I'll do it's clobbering time. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If anybody has any ideas, I forgot to ask in the last one, or did I forget? Did Marcus? Did we come up with one for it's clobbering time? But anyway, so this is going to be like a light week for me. I might do spur of the moment talks. I know I'm going to do a what you're reading because I got a big stack of comics over here that I read, and then next week I'll get back to normal. I'm going to start scheduling talks again. I got a big bunch of look at all that. Look at all these DMs of people asking to schedule talks and stuff like that. So I'll do that. Yara versus Johnny Storm. I don't know anything about Yara. I don't know. I didn't get any. I got ISOM 1, ISOM 2, and I got Alpha Core, and Mike Barron sent me a copy of Goodyeing. So I'm sending him a copy of Heroic Tales. So I don't know the character. So you know, unless other people want to be their champion, I mean, I could talk about Johnny Storm. Even though he's my least favorite member of the Fantastic Four, he's still in the Fantastic Four. So, Fabrizio, anything that I didn't talk about this comic that you would like me to mention? Anything? Any? All right. Again. Uh, just checking to see if you could read up on her powers on the website. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. I don't know Iara. All right. So I'm going to shut it down now. Go upstairs, get my eggs and hash and corned beef hash. I'll plug it away on issue 4. Any word on when do you think? Is it going to be crowdfunded? Is it just going to be released? You going to have like a campaign? Anything you'd like to let us know? I'm so glad to see somebody's picking up a comic. That's so cool. All right. Well, crowdfunding in the spring. I was just waiting for it. Crowdfunding in the spring. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go eat my breakfast and go lay down like a disgusting manatee. Just you know, I'm gonna be like the Horrokins from the David Lynch Dune. I didn't see the new Dunes, but you remember the old David Lynch? The Horrokin was just big, fat, and gross. That's gonna be me for the rest of the day. Thank you, Torchbearer, and I'll see you guys. Bye bye.